Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Week 8 of the Shane and Grooms College Pick'em Show of the 2014 season. We've got some exciting games to talk about this week, Shane. And before we get into our pick'ems, let's talk about the Heisman hopefuls. And after last week's game, who you have as the front runner and some guys maybe chasing him. Who do you got right now as your Heisman hopefuls?
Number one, I got Dak Prescott. He really led that Mississippi State team against Auburn last week. Throwing the ball, I didn't think he looked all that impressive, but he got the win and he got his team out of there with the W. And then I got number two, I still got Marcus Mariota. I think he still has a chance if Oregon can run the table. I think he has a chance to be there in New York. I think Todd Gurley is probably a 3 guy. I mean, just depends on how his suspension, if he gets suspended, and for how long it will be. I think if he gets suspended another game or 2, I think he's out of it because I don't think there's ever been a guy who win it being suspended more than 1 game. And an outside guy I like is Amir Abdullah. He's the leading rusher for Nebraska. He's really been, I think, carrying that Nebraska team on offense and really getting some wins for them.
So that's your top 4 right now, Shane. I'm going to agree with you. I think my front runner this week and moving forward, if he keeps producing, is Dak Prescott. I'm like you. I thought he had a pretty good game Saturday. I didn't think it was a great game, but he did enough for his team to win. Very efficient, and he always seems to get that first down when they absolutely need it. So I'm going to go Dak Prescott as my number one guy, and he's going to have a lot of games to prove himself going forward. My number 2, and I heard he's been practicing this week. Looks like we got some news that he could potentially play this week, and that's Todd Gurley. He's going to be my number 2. Granted, as you said, if he's suspended this game and any more, he's out of the conversation. But if he can put on the shoulder pads this week and have a good game and he can stay not suspended, I think he's got a great chance to be in the conversation. My number 3 guy, I'm surprised that you didn't talk about this guy because his team's undefeated, ranked number 4 in the nation, and really putting up a lot of points is Bryce Petty at Baylor. They put up 62 points last week and against TCU. He's probably at number 3 on my list, and then I got Mariota as my number 4.
All right. Well, I like Bryce Petty. I don't know. Early in the season, he had injury troubles, and I don't think he's going to last throughout the season because he had like spinal injuries, and I mean, once you injure that once, it's kind of always there,
right,
unless he just had some miracle happen to him. But yeah, I like Bryce Petty too. He's probably another guy that I'd see up there.
Yes.
But now we're moving on to number 1 ranked Mississippi State. They have a bye this week.
Yeah, I think it comes at a good time for them. They played 3 ranked opponents in the past 3 weeks. And I'm sure that this comes at a great time for Mississippi State. I'm sure that the coaches are going to get back and go to work, practice on some things they need to shore up. I believe that they should be the number 1 team in the country by their strength of their schedule and what they've done on the field. This is a team that I think can be beat, but it's going to be a tough team. You got to come play well, and you can't turn the ball over. You can't let this team get out ahead because if you do, they're comfortable in that position, and they're so efficient. And with Dak Prescott back there in the senior leadership, it's going to be tough to come behind on this team.
Yeah, I think so too. Once again, they won against Auburn, which I know you kind of dreaded that game. But you're right, they got out ahead and they got real comfortable with the lead and they could just play how they wanted to. And I think to beat that Mississippi State team, you got to get them out of that mode.
Right.
So now moving on to the college football game of the week. Number 2 ranked Florida State. They'll be hosting number 5th ranked Notre Dame.
Shane, I just don't know what to think about this game. My heart, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who either one of these teams are, really. I thought Notre Dame was a good football team until they allowed UNC to put up 43 points on them last week at home. A UNC team that I'm not very high on at all that had 70 points put on them by East Carolina. I just don't know how good they are. I also don't know how good FSU is. This is going to be a really good game to kind of see how good these teams are. I'm going to say that Florida State's going to win this game. They are 11.5-point spread. I actually think they're going to cover. Notre Dame just did not impress me at all last week. I don't think they have the athletes to play with FSU. If FSU can shore up some things defensively, I think that this could potentially be a blowout.
Yeah, I think so too. I think James Winston will have that offense rolling. I think he stays undefeated as a college quarterback. I think now he's 20-0.
Wow.
Ever since a freshman, I think that's the best a freshman's ever done. No, I think with this win this weekend, he would
be 20-0.
No, he'd be 21.
21-0.
And that'd be the most starting off your career ever. But yeah, I like Florida State. Notre Dame, I thought they looked good till how you talked about it, till they played North Carolina last week, and they gave up so many points to that defense, who I thought was not very good in the North Carolina offense. And they're going to be playing a high-powered offense like Florida State. I think Florida State runs it up and wins this game easily.
I do want to actually make mention of somebody who actually replied to our YouTube show. I don't know who you are, Ryan B., but I'm going to give you some props right now. You're actually our first commenter, and I'm pretty happy about that. You did call us out, said that we said that FSU was going to cover last week, and they didn't. I mentioned both of us mentioned that Auburn would win, and they didn't. You like to call us out on that too. Keep the comments coming. We like to be called out. I mean, I could sit here and say all the games I got right, but I'm not. Y'all can just watch the shows. But Ryan B., keep it going. Maybe you can come on down here to Covington, Georgia, and be a guest on our show at some point. But I just want to give a little plug out to you.
So now we're moving on to number 3rd ranked Ole Miss. They'll be hosting Tennessee.
You know what? I think Ole Miss is going to kill Tennessee this week. I know you're probably going to say Tennessee's going to come in and play them hard. I think that this is a team on a mission. I read a few comments about a few of the defensive players of Ole Miss. They're taking a lot of pride in their defense this year. They want to be the number 1 ranked defense in the country. They were very disappointed that they gave up 2 late touchdowns in the last 9 minutes to Texas A&M last week. And I think they're taking a lot of pride. This is going to be a very tough team to beat on any given Saturday because of just how nasty their defense is, and they're getting better every week. I think they cover this spread of 16.5 at home.
I agree with you. I think Ole Miss wins this game easily. I think Bo Wallace has a good game. Keeps that offense rolling, keeps playing good, keeps his momentum going so he doesn't make those mistakes that we've seen him make in the past. And an interesting stat is Ole Miss is number 1 in yards allowed after the catch.
Wow.
And they played a team like Texas A&M who was number 1 on the offensive side yards after the catch, and they pretty much shut them down. And I think
did.
You're right. Ole Miss is.
I don't know who's better right now, Ole Miss or Mississippi State. I think you can make arguments for both. The state of Mississippi has got to be in heaven right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to take a trip over there and just talk to some of those fans because I know they're fired up right now about these two teams.
It's been a while since
it's been a while. It's been a while.
But now moving on to number 4th ranked Baylor. They'll be playing at West Virginia.
You know, I got a few friends on Facebook that are Baylor fans, and they're very frustrated this team's not getting more respect than they think they deserve. But I'm going to tell you, Baylor fans, if you let a team score 59 points on you, I just can't put you in a great team category. I'm sorry. I actually think you might get exposed this week, and I'm going to go ahead and call it upset right here. West Virginia is going to beat Baylor this week at West Virginia. It's not an easy place to play. West Virginia always plays well at home, and I think Baylor, you might get exposed this week. I'm going to pick the upset here.
I'm going with you. I like West Virginia in this game. I like Clint Trickett, their quarterback, a transfer from Alabama. He's been playing really well this year, and he played well against that Alabama team, and then he played really well against the Oklahoma team earlier in the year at home, and they just couldn't come out at the end. But I think they come out and they beat this Baylor team in an upset. So now moving to number 6 ranked Auburn. They have a bye this week.
Whew, it hurt my heart. It was my birthday weekend last weekend, Shane, and this was the only part of my birthday weekend that I got a little down about. Auburn did exactly what I feared. They came out, turned the ball over a couple times, get down by 21. Next thing they're doing is playing catch up all game, and everything's got to go right for them the rest of the way, and it didn't. I think Auburn is a very good football team. I think they're just as good as Mississippi State. But when you turn the ball over that many times early on and get in a hole, you're in for some problems. I'm glad they have a bye this week. They got South Carolina coming up, and then they got several very difficult games. I think Auburn can make a run, but they're going to have to play better.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think the whole nation was really surprised about how Auburn came out. Auburn usually comes out, and it's usually they're the team making plays and getting turnovers against in those big games. They're usually calm and collected. I was really surprised to see them make that many turnovers early, but I think they'll be fine, and I think they do have a chance to run the table still and get in the playoffs. I think your Tigers will be good.
I hope so, Shane. Hope so.
Now, number 7th ranked Alabama, they'll be hosting number 21 ranked Texas A&M.
You know what? Neither one of these teams are playing well, and I'm not quite sure that Alabama deserves this number 7 ranking that they have. Granted, they only have one loss, but I really feel like Arkansas gave them that game last week. I thought Arkansas lost that game 5 different ways, missing an extra point, can't punch it in from the half-yard line. I thought Alabama was very fortunate to get a win there. I know they got Texas A&M at home. I'm going to say Alabama wins this game, but I do not think they cover the spread of 11.5, Shane. I just don't.
Yeah, I don't think they do either, but I think they win it. I think it's a close game. I think their defense, once again, wins it for them because their offense is just they're trying
in disarray right now.
They're trying to find something that works.
They have no identity on offense.
I don't think Blake Sims is the answer at quarterback.
Right.
And Saban's going to keep going to him, I guess. And we'll see if they can score some points on this Texas A&M team who can score some points too. I think it'll be maybe a low-scoring game.
I do too.
But now number 8th ranked Michigan State, they'll be playing at Indiana.
13.5 point spread. This is another game that I think Michigan, just like Alabama, I think Michigan State wins. I don't think they cover the spread of 13.5 at Indiana. I think Indiana is a decent football team, and in a home game for them, I think they make it a little closer to the 13.5.
Yeah, I think so too. Indiana's got a good running back, and they've had a good running game all year. That's how they beat that Missouri team at Missouri earlier in the year. But I think you're right. I think Michigan State wins, but I don't think they cover that 13.5 spread. Now number 9th ranked Oregon, they'll be hosting Washington.
Oregon, they played a little bit better last week. I still think this team's in the national championship hunt. And I do believe that they cover the spread of 21. They're hosting Washington. I think they cover the spread and roll here.
I think so too. I think Mariota has that offense rolling, and I think you're right. They can still get into the playoffs. They can win the Pac-12, and they'll be going. But they gotta win out, and they gotta do it impressively.
Yeah, I agree.
But now number 10th ranked Georgia, they'll be playing at Arkansas.
Man, this is a game that's very tough to call because we really don't know about Gurley. I know Georgia looked really good last week against Missouri and pretty much dominated them. I mean, there was a 34-0. Chubb ran for 38, had 38 rushing attempts, accounted for over 170 yards total offense. But I really don't know how to go with this game. But this game is going to be very difficult for Georgia going into Arkansas. I think Arkansas is upset. They're mad about how the Alabama game went. I think they're going to be playing very, very hard. And I'm going to say Arkansas pulls this one out, Shane. I know I missed on the Missouri-Georgia game, and I owe you an apology. And I'll owe all Georgia fans an apology right now. I really, really missed that game. But I don't think I'm going to miss this one. I think Arkansas squeaks this one out.
Georgia impressed me last week. I as an honest Georgia fan, I really thought they was going to go in that game and just they was going to let the Gurley situation get in their way. But those seniors and those players, they all said, hey, that's one man. There's 10 others on the field on offense, and there's 11 others on defense. And he don't make our team. And they really showed that. Granted, Missouri had 12 drop balls, and 2 of their turnovers came off of tip passes from the wide receivers. So I think Georgia got lucky and played a Missouri team who was just not having a good day. But I think Georgia, if they can get Gurley back, I really, really like their chances of winning this game. But I like them in this game against Arkansas. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, maybe a 20-17, 17-14 game. Both of these offenses are just hand it off, pound, ground and pound, grown man football. And we're going to see who the bigger grown man is, but I like Georgia in this game. Now number 11th ranked Oklahoma. They'll be hosting Kansas State.
It's going to be another good game here. I think these are two very well coached football teams. I think Kansas State. I think they had a bye last week, potentially, so they should be rested. I'm going to say Kansas State makes this a very close game. I think Oklahoma squeaks it out, but I think it's going to be extremely close.
Yeah, I think so too. I would like Kansas State if they're playing at home, like
Right.
they played
Right.
Auburn really well earlier in the year.
It's a tough place to
But-
play. Yeah.
If they're going into Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's kind of bitter about barely getting by Texas last week in a game, I think they got outgained by 200 yards on offense.
Wow.
To a not very good Texas
Correct. Very young
team.
Texas team.
Very young.
Yeah.
But I think Oklahoma, I think you're right, it'll be a close game, but I think Oklahoma will end up pulling it out. But now number 12th ranked TCU, they'll be hosting Oklahoma State.
A lot of good games out in the Big 12 this week.
Mhm.
I think this is going to be another very good game. I think Oklahoma State has an underrated defense, and I know TCU has a very explosive offense. So this is going to be a game against contrasting styles, strengths. I think this is going to be a good game. I think TCU wins it. I still don't think this. I still think this is another game where the spread's not covered.
I think it will be. Oklahoma State, their offense, like we said, they've always scored 20 plus. We don't know how many games in a row. But TCU's offense has been rolling as of late. Granted, they lost to Baylor, but they scored 59
points, yeah.
I mean, that's a pile of points.
Right.
A pile. And I think Oklahoma State, they get exposed in this game. I think that defense gets exposed, and I think TCU covers of that 8.5 point spread. Now, number 13th ranked Ohio State. They're hosting Rutgers.
Ohio State's a 19-point favorite. Ohio State's ranked 13th in the country. Man, there is a lot of love in the media and these pollsters for Ohio State. Seems like year in, year out. I don't understand it. I don't. Just for that reason, I'm going to say they don't cover the spread of 19. I think they win the game, but I don't think they cover.
I think they do. I think Urban Meyer's kind of bitter about that loss against Virginia Tech. And, I mean, they said Ohio State's still a team that's out and looking in. One big win this year could really put them in the playoff.
And I know they play Michigan State later on, so that could be a really big game for both programs.
I mean, that's all it takes, this new playoff system. You win out, you get that one big win that gets you in. But now number 16th ranked Arizona, they have a bye this week.
Yeah, we'll talk about them more next week, but they kind of got exposed last weekend by USC. Yeah.
After coming off they went into Oregon and beat Oregon in their own house, then come home and lose.
Correct.
Rich Rodriguez, you got to be pulling your hair out. Now number 17th ranked Arizona State, they'll be hosting number 23rd Stanford.
Stanford's only a 3.5 point favorite here. I think Stanford covers here. I'm not an overly big fan of Arizona State. I know it's a home game for them, but I'm gonna go with Stanford.
Yeah, I am too. Stanford, I think they have a top 10 defense in almost every defensive category, and I don't think that Arizona State offense is really all that good as we've seen earlier against UCLA, and obviously we've seen their defense wasn't either. But yeah, I like Stanford in this game, and I think they cover 3.5. Now number 18th ranked East Carolina, they have a bye.
East Carolina, I think that this is where they're going to be pretty much all year. I think they're going to be in the 25 to 16 range. No matter if they win or lose, I think they're going to stay in this area. We know that East Carolina can put up some points, but I'm not quite sure they're a good enough team to beat any of the big boys.
Yeah, I agree. I think their offense is good enough to score, but I mean, we don't know how good that defense is because they haven't really played anybody.
Right.
But now number 19th ranked Nebraska, they'll be at Northwestern.
I know you like the Abdullah kid. I do too. I mean, what's not to like? I feel like he's carrying his team. And I think he does need to be deserving Heisman hopefuls. I didn't mention him, but I think he's a great candidate. I think they cover the spread at Northwestern 7.5. I think they roll in this game.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Amir Abdullah, I mean, not a lot of people are talking about him, and I think he thinks he deserves to be talked about more, and I think he has a big game that really...
Playing it with a chip on his shoulder.
And I also think they cover that spread of 7.5. I think Abdullah has a big game.
We're agreeing a lot this week, aren't we, Shane? I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but we're agreeing a lot.
I hope it's a good one. Now, number 20th ranked Utah. They'll be playing at Oregon State.
Utah covers the spread of 2.5. I think that this is a very confident game that the spread's going to be covered. I like this Utah team.
Yeah, I think it'll be a close game playing at Oregon State and this is a Thursday night game. I think because Oregon State's always played really well on night
Beavers.
games. The Beavers.
The Beavers.
Past couple years they beat USC at home on Thursday night games. Prime time games at night. They've been playing really good at night, but they ain't gonna get it done against the Utes. The Utes will take this one. Now number 22nd ranked USC. They'll be hosting Colorado.
I think they cover. They beat Colorado by more than 19. USC had a really good game last week and upset Arizona, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I think they cover the spread.
Yeah, I think so too. I think USC's not at the top of the Pac-12, but I think they're at that third and fourth place team, and I think they have the capability of beating those top teams like they beat Stanford earlier. But I don't see them losing very many games like to Colorado. I think they stay in that area 3 and 4, and I think they cover this 19-point spread. Now number 24th ranked Clemson. They'll be playing at Boston College.
You know, this is going to be another upset this week. I think Boston College beats Clemson. They're without their freshman quarterback that's been playing so well for them, the kid out of Gainesville. What's his last name? Watson. Mm-hmm. They're without him. I don't think they're as good a team with Stout. And I think they go into BC. They don't get this done. I think BC actually beats Clemson here.
I think so too. Boston College played really well.
Man.
We're agreeing a lot this week. Boston College played really well against a USC team, and they ran the ball very impressively. And as you can tell, Clemson has not been able to stop the run, as we saw earlier in the year against Georgia. And then Florida State really ran the ball a good, decent amount on them. But, yeah, I agree. Boston College will upset. But now number 25th ranked Marshall. They'll be playing at Florida International.
You know, I don't know a lot about Marshall. I'm a little bit surprised to see him here in the top 25. Evidently, they've been doing some damage this year and playing well.
They're the only undefeated team outside of the top 10.
Outside the top 10. So I'm going to go ahead and say Marshall covers this spread. I'm going to trust the pollsters that they're going to get this done, and they cover.
I think so too. I think it's the Marshall Herd.
The Herd. I like that.
The Herd.
Or is it the Thundering Herd?
I think it's the Thundering Herd.
Thundering Herd.
I think the Thundering Herd roll in this one, and I think Marshall wins big.
Well, before we go, Shane, I want to know who you think the 4 teams are if the playoff was tomorrow, what 4 teams get in. And then I want you to tell me who you think the 4 best teams are in the country and if there's any difference.
If it was tomorrow, I'd say Florida State, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and I'm going to have to say Baylor.
You know, I'm going to agree with you on that. I think if the teams that would get in by the panel, if it was to start tomorrow, those exact 4 teams, I mean, they're the best 4 teams that don't have a loss yet. So I'm going to agree with you. Now, here's where the controversy gets in. Who do you think the 4 best teams in the country are?
I think I take Baylor out and I put Auburn in that. The same 4 you had last week. I think it's still Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Florida State, and Auburn with ease.
We are agreeing a lot. Maybe we're becoming like brothers. All this time we're spending together, we're starting to think alike. I agree with you. I do not think that Baylor's top 4 team in the country. I think Auburn is better than them. I actually think there's even a couple more teams down here below them that are better than Baylor. But I can't take out Mississippi State, FSU, or Ole Miss out of the mix. I'm really interested to see FSU this week.
You can see how they play.
And see what they do and see if they deserve to be in this top 4. But as of now, that's what I got also.
All right, well, we'll see you
Good luck
next
with your pick'ems this week, guys. Thank you.